condo buying in San Diego. Hello, everybody. My name is Roxanne Gavari with Pemberley Realty here in San Diego, California, along with my partner, Santiago Guerin.
Hello, everyone. Everyone wants to know what's going on with condos, right? Buying, selling. What are some good things, bad things? So we're here to talk about it today, right?
Yes, because condos have become a thing,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, talk about condos, right?
Hmm.
Number one, I think we are the number one um, sensational talk of town and talk of country is actually affordability,
Hmm.
right? And because of affordability, condos are front and center because houses are naturally a lot more expensive than condos are. So condos have become, well, they always have been more desirable for as starter homes because they're more affordable, therefore they're more desirable for first time buyers.
Yeah.
um, and in the recent years, we also have had an issue with insurance, and this is not just for condos. This is for all the structures in California and Florida and a lot of states. Insurance has also become a huge issue because with all the natural disasters that we have had, insurance is also a huge issue. And now it seems like these two are colliding together. The affordability of the condos and the insurability of the condos are kind of like colliding, and they're not they're not soft structures. They're not plastic balls hitting each other. They're really clunky, big and concrete masses that are hitting each other, and the result is not that great.
Hmm. Yeah. I can agree.
So we have had. So let's talk about, like, step by step, break them down. So when you are buying or when you are selling a condo, you are dealing with HOA documentation. You have to make sure that you go through the HOA documentation thoroughly. You have assessments that you have to look into. You have building conditions that you have to look into. You have disclosures within the condo that you have to deal with. And so let's break it down step by step. So let's talk about the HOA documentation
Yeah.
first, right? So number one issue with HOA documentations on behalf of the seller is that you have to pay for them, and they're not cheap.
Yeah.
They range from 300 to sometimes
500.
$1,000 for just to get the documentation from the HOAs, right? And a lot of sellers push back on that cost, saying, why would they cost so much? And there is administrative fees that every HOA has to deal with. There is also record keeping that every HOA has to deal with. So that is, it costs what it costs,
Yeah.
right? and
Yeah.
then and then that documentation needs to be thoroughly reviewed by the buyer,
Hmm.
because there's a lot of nuances in there, because
Yeah.
from special assessments that could be talked about in the meeting minutes, for example, to reserve study, whether or not a reserve study has been done, whether or not the reserves are in place and appropriate for the operation of the condo complex. And so these are all issues that come up when you are talking about selling a condo or buying a condo. I actually just had a call from another agent, from an agent from another company that contacted me to get information about about another condo that they're trying to sell in a condo complex that we sold a couple of months ago, and
Yeah.
we had a huge issue dealing with selling that complex because the complex had not finished their work of balcony upgrades to comply with the SB 326, which is the law of every condo complex needs to be fix their balconies and make sure that they are safe. So so as a result, that condo complex is not um, certified by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which essentially means that they cannot get a loan
Yeah. Hmm.
unless they're going for what we call a non-QM loan, which is again essentially a hard money loan, which is a
More
lot
expensive.
more expensive.
Yeah.
And our seller actually had to pay out of pocket for the difference of the amount, so that the buyer could actually get into the complex.
Yeah. And you bringing up the HOA docs on having those as a seller, that you also mentioned it's expensive. When would you tell your seller or have those ordered? Because I mean, would you wouldn't you think it's better to have those ordered, before you even get an offer on the property?
Unfortunately, you cannot because you have to open escrow and then order those documentation because the lenders want to make sure that
It
information is
is.
up to date. And
Yeah.
so if you order them up front and then the property sits on the market for 3 months before you have a buyer, now the documentation is 3 months old. What if something has happened in that 3 months period? What if there has been another meeting has been done? What if their a reserve study has changed? What if there has been another special assessment that has come in that 3 months? So you want that documentation to be as updated as possible.
Yeah.
So you really want to order it once you open escrow.
Yeah.
Besides, every time you order that documentation, you're shelling out money,
Yeah.
right? So it's best to have it as updated as possible, which means that don't order it until you actually open escrow.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, special assessments. Special assessments are a big deal these days, and they go back into the condition of these condo complexes within San Diego, and I think pretty much within the entire country. These condo complexes are aging, and they need to be maintained. They need a lot of upgrades. We are in the age of AI, which at the age of internet, we needed to upgrade all of our structures to make sure that internet can be accessible. Now we have even more requirements because we need to upgrade electricity to satisfy the uh, the huge appetite of AI. So with that comes the upgrading of the electrical systems within all these condo complexes. And again, we talked about insurance and the requirements that insurance companies give. So all of those add to the cost. And we have another situation with another condo complex where the buyer bought, the seller failed to disclose, and there is cost of upgrading the electric panel, not just inside the unit, but inside the entire complex, which is going to cost money, and it depletes the reserve funds. So each homeowner needs to pay a large sum of money to replenish the reserves, and that was not disclosed. So now disclosure is a separate issue, and it's outside of our topic, but that uh, is also a huge issue of fixing what needs to be fixed, or special assessments that need to be levied in order to bring the structure into the latest and greatest of what the code requires, which costs money, and somebody's got to have to pay for it.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So let's see what else about condos that we haven't talked about. Um, so we touched on Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac requirements of the condo. A couple of years ago, we actually had this where right, it was actually right after the Great Recession, where a lot of the buyers were FHA and VA buyers, and
Yeah.
because again, affordability is a big issue, and first time buyers getting into a condo is
Yeah.
the solution to that. And if these complexes are not Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac compliant,
Yeah.
if they're not FHA, VA approved, then essentially very quickly they lose their attractiveness to the first time buyers.
Hmm.
So it's really, really important for the associations and for the boards of these condo complexes to
Get
uh,
that. Yeah.
get that in place, and make sure that it remains in place.
Hmm. Yeah. Because I mean, sometimes you could get like in a condo just like certain units that have been approved and not like the full thing, right?
No, actually, it's either the whole thing or not anything at all.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Because here's the thing, and think about it. You buy a unit, and the whole complex relies on, each individual unit relies on
So,
the whole entirety of the complex in order to stay healthy. And
hmm.
I will give you examples. For example, the roof is covered by the association,
Yeah.
right? So one unit uh, doesn't pay into its HOA, doesn't pay its fees, and then another unit starts having trouble with the roof, and the roof is going to start leaking. Well, how do you address that now,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Because you can't just replace like a roof above your head, because the roof is connected. So if there's a roof replacement, it needs to be for the entirety of the complex.
Yeah.
So and here that's where the solvency of the association becomes so important, because if one person pays their dues, the other person doesn't pay their dues, and you get to a point where you need to pay bills. Now you don't have enough money to pay bills that are common bills. So
Mhm.
what's going to happen then?
Yeah.
Right? The one that's paying is going to have to carry the one that's not paying, right? And that can become risky, and it can become expensive for the one that is paying.
Yeah. Yeah.
So these are all issues. As a matter of fact, I remember I remember in 2008, way before you guys were old enough to worry about any of these things, there was a complex in North Park, and it had either 14 units or 24 units, and the HOA had failed. So the HOA had gone
Yeah.
bankrupt, and so there was no money in the HOA coffers, and therefore the lenders were not willing to lend on this complex, and the units were going for $50,000 per unit, and these were nice units, nice two bedroom one bath units with a pool, and they were going for $50,000 per unit, all cash, because you couldn't get a loan for it because the HOA had failed.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And how were they able? Did they have to hire a new HOA, or how did that ended up getting fixed?
well, what happened was they got sold to buyers all cash, and then the new buyers that bought each unit, then they had to get together, form a new HOA, start putting money into the HOA, make the HOA start over and become solvent, and that's how they got out of that whole debacle.
Yeah. Oh,
So that's what needs to happen. Unfortunately, sometimes for something like this to get resolved.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I
Now,
think just being, diligent when checking, especially the HOA documents, I would say that and the disclosures are the most important things to if you're a seller, provide like, with full information. And then when you're the buyer, also reading and making sure you understand all of that. Because
and if you are the agent for the buyer now, and if you're working with a buyer that's buying a condo, you've got to be even more diligent about this because what happens is uh, what happens is your responsibility just went from here to here. Your responsibility went from if selling a house has a responsibility from a 0 to 10, 10 being the highest amount of responsibility on a house, your responsibility is a 2, and on a condo right now your responsibility is an 8 or 9
yeah,
because there's a lot more documentation that needs to be reviewed. There's a lot more responsibility that needs to be had. There's a lot more danger, and there's a lot more, um, uh, potential for things going wrong with a condo right now than there are with houses.
yeah,
So it becomes a lot more important for the agent to make sure that they're being super careful going through and looking at condo complexes when they're representing buyers to in order to buy them.
yeah, yeah.
So that's the long and short of it. So if you are selling a condo, just understand that your nest egg is not as protected as a house would be. And if you're purchasing a condo, just make sure that you are reviewing everything a lot more thoroughly, and try to get some discounts out of the seller to cover any possible special assessments that may arise. And if you're an agent, make sure that you look further into any special assessments. Look into and thoroughly examine the insurance on the condo complex. Make sure that the insurance is in place and adequate for anything that may go wrong with the condo complex. So protect your client and protect yourself from further responsibility and liability that may arise.
Kind of said it better.
All right, excellent. So on that note, let's put our information out because we are not only experts in San Diego, but we have connections all over the country. And if you're thinking of buying or selling, we want to be your go-to realtors. And you can reach out to me at my number. You can reach out to Santiago at his number. You can also follow us on Instagram. There's our Instagram handle. There is our website if you want to visit us there, or if you want to follow us on Facebook. We like hanging out there as well. And if you are seeing us on YouTube, Santi, what do you want them to do?
Thumbs up and subscribe.
And subscribe. Exactly. So when we bring these super important information to you, you have a chance to review them and learn from them.
Yep.
And thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Bye, everyone.